How are your relationships today? Personal, professional? Could they be better? Welcome to Talk Time with Trish, with host Trish Forante and co-host Lisa Stewart. There are so many variables that affect our lives. What makes the difference in our lives is genuine communication. Now, here are your hosts, Trish Forante and Lisa Stewart.
Hi, this is Dr. Lisa Stewart, and welcome to Talk Time with Trish. Our show is about improving communication for men and women. Today, we're going to talk about creating your best life, the law of attraction. My guest today is Kadin, and this is part 3 of our forgiveness series. Christine is a psychotherapist, motivational consultant, and executive and personal coach in private practice in South Florida. Christine, we've had such a phenomenal response to the first shows that we did with you, and we're thrilled to have you on the show again today. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Lisa.
And, we've been talking about forgiveness, and today we're shifting the focus just a little bit, but I think you'll share with us how everything relates to our topic today, which is creating your best life, the law of attraction. Can you tell us a little bit about what the law of attraction is? I know about it from reading and watching The Secret. Give us a little synopsis of that.
Well, the law of attraction, Lisa, is that most people believe that they can attract something positive in their life. That they want to change a relationship, they want to sell their home, they want to heal themselves. And so The Secret talks about how to manifest all of these positive outcomes. But the law of attraction is what I call the law of creation. You really, really create all the time. You see, most people don't know that you attract all the time. People think, okay, if I listen to this show or if I buy the book, I will learn how to attract. Well, I've got news for you, Lisa. We attract all the time. Mm-hmm. We're like magnets. But most of what we attract, in many instances, is we attract situations that we don't like and that we don't want. Like, for instance, the woman whose father was an alcoholic swore that she would never go into an abusive relationship, and she repeats it and does it again. Do you follow me?
I do. So what you're saying is that we create our own life. We create what happens to us by how we think about things and how we interact with our environment.
That's correct. We create all the time. We don't know that we create. We don't know most of the time that we are doing this subconsciously. But here's the real truth. We always create. And I've got news for you. It's not necessarily pleasant news. Most of us do not know how powerful our thoughts are.
Well, that was what I was just thinking, is that what you're saying is that we have a lot more power than we realize. And as you're talking about that, I'm also thinking about my clients who, because I'm a big believer in that as well, in terms of positive thinking and, focusing on the things that we want to get out of life and putting ourselves in that situation visually, mentally. I have some clients, on the other hand, who struggle with depression, anxiety, or just negative thinking, who say that's a bunch of BS. I don't believe that. That doesn't work. So what do you tell those people? Because I'm sure you've run across them as well.
Well, I have. And what's fascinating is the same people who are very negative are actually telling you this doesn't work.
Correct.
What they don't realize is it's exactly what they believe will happen. So for them, if the world is essentially a negative place, and many of us know quite a few people like that, like the colleague or the boss, well, they're going to create that place and you'll be in that place with them. So the real issue is, yes, what you put, it's a little like a computer. Giggle, I think, use garbage in, garbage out.
Okay.
Now, you could say giggle, God in, God out. So it's either garbage or God. It's either love or fear. And I know if I say it again, you are gonna throw something at me. It's very simple, but it's not easy. Remember?
I do. And on that note, the focus today is creating your best life and focusing on the positive, but can we take a step back? Because I think before we do that, there are some other things that you've said need to take place first. So just summarize a little bit for us what needs to happen first before we can create the best life we can possibly imagine.
Definitely. I want to step back, but I want to also state something. I want to say, Lisa, that I believe in miracles. And I just had a miracle on my way to the show today that I want to share with you because I can feel it. I'm tearing up almost. I just heard from a client of mine, Peter, and we had been doing some couples work without the wife there, which I told you about last week. And they were about to get a divorce. His wife had had a terrible, horrible childhood. And he just called me before the show to say, Christine, something happened with the work I was doing and what I was sharing with her. Remember, I never saw the wife. She decided to go to a therapist. And she went. And now she's getting the care she needs. There is hope for us. So beyond forgiveness and beyond everything, I do believe in miracles. But what do we need to do to accept the miracles? They're always given to us. So yes, we need to clean up the past. You're right, Lisa. The first, in the law of attraction, I think I need to call it the law of creation because we create all the time. So we go back to we create something we don't like. And that's the negative past that you and I talked about. We are in the box. That's the box of the past. And we need to get out of that box to finally get the life we deserve and get the life we want.
Now, I do want to ask you a quick question because I can't help but think about we're creating our own life. Well, some people say that you're blaming people for how things turn out in their life. Do you look at it that way?
No. First of all, the blame game doesn't get us anywhere. And it's not about blame, it's about responsibility. But it's responsibility with kindness. It's almost as if, again, most of us create unconsciously. When we were young, I use the analogy of the computer programming. We downloaded programming from our culture, from our family, from our story, and this is so powerful that this is really a programming that runs on all the time. Now, parts of the programming are positive, but a lot of the programming is negative and critical.
So to get away from blaming people, what we might say is that we're sort of running on autopilot, or these programs are running that we're not even aware of.
Exactly.
That influence us. So it's not necessarily our fault that we're creating our misery, let's say, but you're saying we need to do something about it. We need to proactively make changes in how we think and feel about things so that we can move beyond that.
That's correct. We need to stop. We need to actually stop the program. And it's not about blame. And none of us, Lisa, want to create a life that's hurtful. And most of us do not want to hurt anybody else. But remember when I talked about the Ho'oponopono last time, the Hawaiian system of healing, they believe, and this is where they're very, very intuitively smart, they go beyond psychology and they go beyond this life. And they believe that we have a link to all our ancestors and our children and great-grandchildren. And they believe that when somebody hurts someone, it affects everyone. Mm-hmm. So when we petition God, the I love you, forgive me, I'm sorry, and thank you, when we petition God to cleanse that negativity, because they acknowledge we're running past programs, then we heal everyone. So it's not about blame. It's about stepping back for a moment and saying, this doesn't work. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Am I making sense?
You are. And again, in part one of our forgiveness series, we talked about healing the self and forgiving ourselves. And then last week we did talk about the healing the world. which is exactly what you're referring to with the meditation and the prayer and the love and the forgiveness. So as far as this week, now we're moving on towards, the law of attraction and creating the best life. But what are some of those obstacles that get in the way for us of creating our best life?
Well, the first one, is you mentioned from many of the people we know, our own clients, is negativity. If somebody is negative, they are going to look at life through prescription glasses, if you will, of negativity. Every situation or every glass will be half full or less than full. And every situation will be almost an attack on themselves because they're coming from a fear-based. That's all they see. So negativity and fear, these are the greatest obstacles. But there's another one, and that's very, very tricky, Lisa. We are very, very afraid of our own power. What people are most afraid of is that if they let go of the past, first of all, they're terrified of doing that because they've identified being a victim and being hurt. And remember the anger they have a right to? Now
Sure.
all of this is taken away. Who am I? Who am I?
So you feel like people they identify so much with that negativity that once it's gone, there may be nothing left, and that's part of the fear. Or they don't know how to act or how to respond in that circumstance.
Exactly, because they're not used to nothing. What the blessing is when you go into that space is this is where we can create. But most of us are terrified of that. So I would say that when you do certain kinds of work, it's better to do it with a therapist. For instance, the peppermint, the liquid peppermint. It's not about candy. It's a food grade, very strong essence that I use with many of my clients. I use it in conjunction with knowing the client and knowing also that I ask them, are you ready for this? Because what would happen if somebody did this and suddenly a huge part of their negative parts disappear? What do they do with the newness? What do they do with the future? This can be very, very scary.
So you're not suggesting that everyone run out and buy a bunch of peppermint candy and swallow it?
No, it wouldn't be candy anyway. I don't want anybody to choke on the candy. It would be the peppermint is any kind of profound healing. I think you need help. Unless you totally surrender to God, and that's for later, you need help so that you're not alone in that process.
So the peppermint technique that you refer to is done in conjunction with a therapist typically.
Exactly. Or at least it should be. It should be. But one of the things I wanted to share with you is I talked about miracles, and I just received information. I'm part of a group of 6,000 practitioners worldwide who actually track spiritual healings. I belong to different groups. And one of the groups I belong to is the Bruno Gröning Circle of Friends. He was a healer in Germany. And now there's a documented healing. There are many, many of them. They are documented pre and post by physicians, by psychotherapists, people who are in the field. We have measures. And this is a story of a woman that when I speak about miracle, you will know. This is a woman who had borderline personality disorder. Now, Lisa, you know how serious that is, right?
I know how serious that is, Christine, but can you just clarify just a little bit about what that looks like?
Well, borderline personality disorder is a psychiatric condition that is very, very, very serious in as much as people are terrified of abandonment. So to keep it simple, it is a serious, serious disorder. This woman had not only that, she was addicted to pills, but now let's go to another part, the medical condition. She had insomnia, she had hormonal disturbances, fibromyalgia, she had sensitivity to cold, severe heartburn, and more. So in a clinical way, she was a mess. I mean, a lot.
So she had emotional issues as well as the medical.
And they're linked, as far as I'm concerned. So the reason why I wanted to share this is exactly what she said. And this is the miracle of forgiveness, in her own words. She said, one day I realized all of the bad things I had taken in my life, anger, impatience, and arrogance. And in a period of 24 hours, all the people who played a role in my life appeared to me in my inner eye, like a movie, like a movie. And I was able to forgive them all. And above all, I was able to ask for forgiveness for all the worry I had caused them. And she said she cried and cried, but a good cry. She felt a profound sense of peace. And she said, everything I had already known in my head for a long time, couldn't put into practice, had gone straight to my heart. This is the blueprint for forgiveness. And because life is a movie, and she forgave everybody.
So in forgiving everyone in her life, she was healed.
Exactly.
What you're saying.
Exactly.
Now, how did she get there? How did she get to the forgiveness?
Well, she took a decision, and we are now to the law of creation. When we talked about creating life, that's the first part is we clean up the past. But she decided to be happy. She decided to be happy. She decided not to be in pain anymore. And when you take that decision, you can actually have a different life. And that's really the second part of the process. All of this is linked. I'm breaking it down. But she decided to do something differently and to move into forgiveness, letting go of the past, or a new life, just to be healed, just to be at peace.
And so what you're suggesting is the first step is actually making that decision to do things differently.
The first step is to while forgiveness or healing is a process in general, the first step is making that decision, because in the end, you are the one who needs to heal, and you are the one who needs to forgive, and you are the one who needs to forgive yourself. Only you can do it for you. Of course, we can pray for others, but it's your choice.
Okay. And again, sounds wonderful, and I'll say it for you. It's simple, but not easy.
We agree.
But when we talk about some of the, obstacles, you talk about overcoming the law of reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, when we talk about cleaning up the past,
mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that a little bit more, about cleaning up the past in order to fully be prepared for this brand new life that we're creating?
Yes. The best image I can give you, it goes back a long way, is, remember the show Ally McBeal?
Yes, that's one of my
favorite
shows.
I love that show. And one of the images I remember, I don't remember much anymore, but it's the image of the dump truck. And I don't know if it's Ally McBeal who dumped somebody in the truck or she was dumped in the truck. I can't remember, but I can still see the dump truck. And for me, the best image, sometimes we have to have a sense of humor to heal. Actually, it's very useful, is imagine that you're dumping a lot of stuff in the truck. And another exercise, in fact, beyond the dump truck, another exercise, and that would be a good idea, is I was working with a client, and Philip was extremely angry at his mother. And I asked Philip, he was very visual, and I said, "Hey, Philip, close your eyes and tell me and imagine why you are still tied to her." Because we talked about forgiveness, so he just couldn't do it. And Philip said, "I could see myself tied with ropes." And he saw ropes binding him to his mother. I said, "Well, how about cutting the ropes?" And he did. And when he saw the ropes being cut in this visualization, he started moving on. So the first part is in the law of creation, to attract what you want, is kind of clean up the past, which we really, really talked about. The second one would be we decide to be happy. Does that make sense?
It does. And you talk about deciding to clean up the past, and that's hard though. It's hard. And what you're describing though is your client decided to clean up the past, but it was literally in his own mind. It doesn't sound like he did anything with his mother per se, or that relationship.
That's right.
He just saw a different picture.
Yes. And when I say life is a movie, I really mean it. imagine for a moment your life and imagine a scene. Now, instead of seeing it like a movie, remember when you go to the movies and now all you see is the slides? Slow down the slides. You have now 10 or 15 slides. You need to change the content of the slides because in between the slides is the power of love and miracles.
And, Christine, I'm an incredibly visual person.
Can you see that?
I can see it. And when you speak in those terms, it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. We are getting ready to take a short break. So before we jump on to our next big topic, what I would like to do is just ask you to hang on to that, and we'll come back to that afterwards. But it is time to take a short break. This is Lisa Stewart, and my guest today is Christine Kadin. You're listening to Talk Time with Trish on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. Stay tuned.
Better communication means better relationships in every sense of the word. When you communicate more effectively and interact more effectively, your life is lived more effectively. Tune in to Talk Time with Trish, featuring host Trish Forante and co-host Lisa Stewart. Our program is all about the human element. We are all comprised of parts and stuff that we may be aware of or others may be aware of. When we become aware of what others are aware of, it means more to us. Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific on Voice America Health and Wellness.